Fans saw the Straw Hat Pirates attempt to deal with the threat of the Seraphim in the previous chapter. When ordered for the CP0, along with everyone else on the island to be eradicated, it was Zoro who stepped up to their rescue and held off the Seraphim. He immediately called Luffy out for help as it was too much for him to handle alone, and now, the two are looking to fight against S-Bear and S-Hawk. More interestingly, there is an unlikely team-up brewing here, and fans saw this towards the very end of the previous chapter. CP0 members Kaku and Lucci did not want to die while watching and, thus, suggested a temporary alliance with the pirate group. Zoro tells Lucci and Kaku that he does not see a future where after they uncuff them, they would let them cuff them later. Kaku states that they will let them restrain them again, which seems to convince Luffy to help them out, despite Zoro claiming that Kaku is lying to them. S-Hawk then unleashes a powerful flying slash attack with his leg, causing Zoro to realize that the devil fruit power S-Hawk is using is the Supa Supa no Mi, used by former Baroque Works agent Daz Bones. After moving out of the way, Kaku says, "You see Roronoa, you keep saving us, you won't get anywhere like this." Shaka says, "CP0, let me ask, what was your mission here?" Lucci replies and says, "Eliminating all the 7 Vegapunks." Kaku angrily says, "Lucci, don't just blurt it out like that." Shaka asks and says, "And I take it you won't let Stussy off the hook, given her betrayal?" Lucci replies and says, "That's right, I won't show her any mercy." Kaku again says, "Are you trying to convince them not to save us?" All of a sudden, they hear Nami screaming, which Zoro realizes it means that the other Seraphim are on the loose, and says, "How are we meant to protect everyone on top of the 7 Vegapunks?" Luffy tells Shaka to give him the keys. Shaka throws the keys to Luffy and says, "I'll leave the decision to you, just please protect the Stella at any cost." Luffy, before he uncuffs Lucci and Kaku, says, "When those 4 guys are out of the way, and you realize you can't beat me, you won't be a sore loser and go after my friends and the Vegapunks, right?" Zoro calls Luffy an idiot and says these guys won't fall for a taunt like that. Lucci replies to Luffy and says, "Fat chance, you are the top priority on my hit list, straw-hatted bastard. I won't go out of order, but your friends won't outlive you for long." Zoro is surprised and says, he took the bait. S-Bear then fires an Ursa shock, ultimately Luffy uncuffs Lucci and Kaku. Luffy assumes Gear 4th and uses Gomu Gomu no Kong Gun, while Lucci assumes his hybrid form and uses Rokushiki Ogi Rokuogan to simultaneously attack S-Bear. Zoro and Kaku team up against S-Hawk, blowing him back with Tempest Kick, White Thunder and Purgatory Onigiri, and S-Hawk crashes into a wall. World Government Intelligence CP5, CP7 and CP8 agents, one of them says, "I wonder if we'll ever be allowed to leave, and are we gonna die here?" 2 months back, when we meant to set sail after our inspection on Egghead Island, those weaponized sea beasts attacked us, and we were brought back to the island, and all other agents that came to look into our disappearance met the same fate. So I figure you were the one behind it all, Dr. Vegapunk. Vegapunk replies and says, "Sorry, I'm afraid I had no idea. To think this was happening on Egghead under my nose, how troubling. This whole affair has been baffling right from the start. Word leaking to the government about our research into poneglyphs should have been impossible." The Marines are then revealed to be deploying about 100 ships of all sizes from Branch G9 en route to Egghead. In a few bar at small port, on a certain island, a kid asks Shanks if he can join them, but Shanks refuses and says, "Don't be dumb. There is no way I would take a hot-headed bastard like you." The lady replies to the boy and says, "Why don't you give it up? You will make the other captains jealous." The kid replies and says, "No way, I really look up to the chief." One of Shanks' men arrives and informs him that Kid is attacking them, but has just been scrapping with our youngsters, and asks Shanks what he wants to do with him. Shanks replies and says, "I don't know whether you would call this a good or a bad thing. We were just about to set sail." Shanks ultimately agrees and says, "Well, I guess I lost track of time, catching up with everyone. It can't be helped when we come across some old friends you thought were dead." Ben Beckman tells Shanks that the enemy is gonna be pissed at him for making them wait. Lucky Roo says, "You can't talk, Beck. Do you really think he's the only one they're mad at?" Usopp asks if are they really gonna do this, but Shanks says, "Let's set sail." Shanks tells Dory and Broggy that he doesn't want to cause any major trouble here and asks Dory and Broggy to give him a hand. The two giants happily agree to help him out. The narrator says this island is actually Elbaf, the home of the most prideful warriors around. The giant lady tells Shanks to let's do this. Lucky Roo says, "Yeah, tell him." Shanks asks Rockstar to send a message to their attacker, who is Eustace Kid. The message: he has a choice, he can either surrender the road poneglyphs and scram, or he can risk fighting me. On the outskirts of the island, Kid realizes that practically every pirate in the horizon belongs to him, including the ones that are lagging behind. Kid says the ships are the alliance of the red-haired pirates, one of his men says. Every one of them seems like a big shot, and they all sworn to the Emperor. Killer states that last time they were him, it was completely one-sided and they took Kid's arm, before they got a glimpse of Red Hair himself. Killer fears that they won't settle for his arm this time, and tells Kid that they would take his life. However, Kid is not scared, believing he will die only if he loses the fight. What do you think of this chapter? Leave your answers in the comments section below. And I would really appreciate it if you press that subscribe button.